There is a place at the edge of southern Africa where the grass runs to the horizon, and every thorn bush might be hiding something enormous. This morning the sky is heavy and green, the air smells of rain, and somewhere out in this Bushveld are 5 animals that gave safari its most famous phrase. Welcome to Kruger National Park. We are in the far northeast of South Africa, pressed against the borders of Mozambique and Zimbabwe, in the hot, low-lying country the locals call the Lowveld. This single reserve stretches for hundreds of kilometers from north to south, a wild corridor of savanna, rivers, and granite hills. We have come in January, the heart of the green season. From November to March, the summer rains transform the Lowveld. The dust of winter gives way to tall grass and fresh leaves. Migratory birds pour in from the north, and the herds drop their calves. It is lush, it is dramatic, and it is alive. The big 5 are the lion, the leopard, the elephant, the African buffalo, and the rhinoceros. But the phrase was never about size. It was coined by big game hunters more than a century ago for the 5 animals considered the most dangerous and difficult to hunt on foot. Each one, cornered, could turn and kill the hunter. Today, the only shooting most visitors do is with a camera. First among them is the lion, the only truly social big cat. A pride will lie hidden in the long green grass through the heat of the day, almost invisible until you are nearly upon them. Kruger is one of the great strongholds for lions on the continent, and simply knowing they are out there changes how you look at every patch of shade. The protection of this land began in 1898, when the Sabi Game Reserve was proclaimed in the old Transvaal Republic. It was a fragile idea in a hard frontier era, a first attempt to set aside the Lowveld, so that its wildlife might survive the guns and the wagons pushing north. In 1926, the Sabi and Shingwedzi reserves were joined together under a new National Parks Act, and the combined park was named after Paul Kruger, the Transvaal president of that founding era. From that moment, it became the Kruger National Park, open to a public who could now come to watch, not to hunt. The scale here is hard to grasp. Kruger covers close to 2 million hectares, roughly 19,500 square kilometers. That is about the size of a small country, an unbroken wilderness large enough to hold whole ecosystems, entire rivers, and populations of animals numbering in the tens of thousands. Out to the side, half screened by trees, moves the largest of them all. The African elephant can weigh as much as 6 tons and yet vanish into the bush without a sound. Kruger holds many thousands of them, and a herd crossing the road is one of those moments where the vehicle simply stops and waits, because here the elephant decides. The African buffalo travels in herds that can run into the hundreds, a moving wall of horn and muscle. Hunters feared it above almost anything, for a wounded buffalo will circle back and ambush whatever is following it. In the green season, the herd spread out across this new grass, fat and watchful. The summer rains bring more than grass. Guinea fowl bustle along the roadside in noisy flocks, and the bush fills with the calls of breeding birds and the arrival of migrants. This is the season of new life, of impala lambs and zebra foals, when predators and prey are both at their busiest. To the west, the land climbs suddenly in the Great Escarpment, the wall that separates the high inland plateau from this hot Lowveld. That difference in height shapes everything. The rivers that run east through the park, the pockets of woodland and open savanna, and the extraordinary variety of life that Kruger shelters. Not everything here is on the Big Five list, and some of the finest sightings never were. A giraffe stands among the flat-topped acacias, browsing the highest leaves with a long, dark tongue, unhurried and utterly at home. Moments like this are the real texture of a green season drive. The fifth of the five is the rhinoceros, and it carries the heaviest burden. For years, Kruger has stood on the front line of a poaching crisis. Its rhinos hunted for horn that is worth more by weight than gold. Rangers, dogs, and technology now guard them around the clock. To see a rhino here is to see a survivor of a war still being fought. This land was never empty. Long before it was a park, the Lowveld was home to the Tsonga, the Shangaan, and other peoples who knew its rivers, its seasons, and its animals intimately. Their history is written into the place names, the rock, and the living memory of the communities that still border the park today. By the time the light softens, the green season has shown its whole hand. The giants and the small birds, the deep history and the fragile present. The Big Five made this place famous, but Kruger is really the story of a whole wild country holding on. And that story is still being written, one rainy morning at a time.